Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to another edition, shall we say, of the Business Communication Up conference, this time virtual conference. It's been a while. It's been a minute, as they say. The last time we had one of these conferences was during COVID. It was 2020, and we were all trying to figure out Zoom and how to market during COVID and what to do with the lockdowns, etc. So here we are. What I'd like to say that I enjoy about these online meetings is that we have access to the country or even abroad. Right now, we have people that are joining us from across the provinces and territories. We also have people in different countries. So this is what I do like about online conferences. So as you can see here by the picture, I want to just give a quick shout out, a welcome from the executive team, which you see here. It's Dr. Marat Rayson, Colleen Clark, myself, Rick Phillips, and Mark Bowden, who will be joining me momentarily. I just want to show you a few slides first to give you a little bit of introduction to what's going on with NCCA Canada in case you're not familiar. Next slide, please. So who are we? Simply speaking, we are a nationally registered nonprofit, and our business is the communication coaching world, supporting communication coaches and trainers and communication skills enthusiasts, meaning we're not selective and only looking at, do you call yourself a communication coach or not? No, anyone could be involved in communication skills, and perhaps they've got a various way of looking at how they're going to solve the problems of their clients, and that's great. Other people are saying, I'm not a coach or trainer, but I really want to learn some more communication skills. We call you a communication skills enthusiast, and we welcome you as well. So thank you all for joining, and if you know anybody who might be in the same camp as one of those, please let them know about us. So what do? We try to host regular events, webinars, seminars, and in-person or online events, as well as we have a newsletter where we're keeping people informed of what's going on. We have strategic partnerships with different organizations to make sure that we can maximize our effect, for example, with small business owners, with entrepreneurs, with other nonprofits. And we also want to offer something for the communication coaches, which is designation and certification. We'll get into that in just a minute. So why do we do it? Well, I would say, like any nonprofit, you are thinking about society, maybe giving back to society, adding maybe a little bit of your footprint as well. So if we talk to that executive team, which you saw the picture prior to, probably that would be the answer, is that we're doing this because we love what we do, we love the industry, and we want to help it grow, especially in Canada. Certainly that's the reason why I'm in this as well. So we are volunteering our time, nobody's getting a paycheck, and we're all trying to make the world a little bit better. And maybe if we have better communicators, we can have a little bit less tension, a little bit less conflict, perhaps. At least that's what I like to think. So what's next? Well, I would say that 2025 is going to be a good year. I'm going to try to arrange regular webinars with some guest speakers. So if you out there would like to be a guest speaker, if you think you have something to offer our pool of coaches and entrepreneurs, please do let me know. You can send an email to NCCA Canada or contact us on social media. Let us know, and we'll have some regular guests to share their knowledge and make connections. Because that's what we're all about: professional development, networking, and growing your business. Now, how can you connect with us? Well, as you can see here by the icons, there's first of all the website. You can see nccacanada.org. Phone number. We are based in Toronto, and we're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on YouTube. We have a newsletter. And you can email us whenever you like. So what I want to do is I just want to allow you to hear from our president, Mark Bowden, in his own words. We have a short video that he explains what we're all about. And so, Sabby, could you please play that video?
Hi there, I'm Mark Bowden. I'm a communication coach, world-renowned body language expert, and I'm the president of the NCCA. That's the National Communication Coaching Association of Canada. You know, communication coach is still a relatively new term, but across Canada, in every major city, there's already hundreds of trainers and coaches who identify themselves as a communication skills expert. These people come from various professions and backgrounds and work hard to provide quality communication skill development to individuals and companies. The NCCA as an authority sets the tone, but also measures the professional ethics and standards of this new but flourishing industry. So if you're a communication coach, a trainer, a general communication skill enthusiast, or part of an organization that trains people in communication, I think this organization has something for you. The NCCA executive team is comprised of highly skilled communication coaches, trainers, business experts, all dedicated to making this organization work for you and your needs. We provide networking opportunities, professional development, and designation standards for members. So take a look at the website, ask us any questions you like, and I'd personally like to welcome you to your new home. A home with benefits of professional development and the membership opportunities that are just right for you.
Thank you. Back to slides, please. And next slide, please. Okay, so just quickly, this is a snapshot or screenshot of the NCCA Canada homepage. You can see Mark's video that you just watched, and you can see where you could sign up to our newsletter if you want to stay in touch, as well as just a reminder that because we're a nonprofit, we try to keep costs low, and we only charge $30 Canadian a year for a general membership. So again, it's a great opportunity for you to join, to support this organization, but also to be able to then say to anyone professionally, I'm a member of the NCCA Canada. I'm a member of the National Communication Coaches Association of Canada. You can do that for $30. Put it on your marketing material, your website, your resume, etc. Next slide, please. Besides membership, we also offer designation, again, for the coaches. So we offer communication coach certification, which is a fairly new thing we're offering. And then we offer designation. So the coaching certificate can come through NCCA Canada or elsewhere. And the designation does not have to come through NCCA Canada directly. You may have been certified elsewhere, but if you'd like to get information, just let us know on communication coach certification and or designation. You can see here we have a picture of Elisa, who will be joining us later in the panel, and we have their designation certification from Sandy, who will be next after Mark and I. So it is something that coaches and trainers are recognizing. It's really important to be certified and or designated both, and NCCA Canada is the place to be in Canada. Next slide, please. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our sponsors, partners, and supporters. And you can check out their tabs on the lobby area, the main stage area. You can see the sessions, the description, you can see the speakers, all the bios there, and you can see the sponsors. And some of the sponsors have videos, they have downloadable PDFs that you can take some information away. And of course, you can reach out to them whenever you like. So if you want more information, reminder, there'll be 15-minute breaks in between our sessions. So for those 15 minutes, you can go and have a virtual networking session in the lobby where you can meet people virtually, and you may also check out the sponsors. So quickly, YETI stands for York Entrepreneurship Development Institute. It's a mouthful, we call it YETI. And YETI is a Canadian charity that trains entrepreneurs, for-profit, non-profit, here and abroad. And we are very grateful to have their partnership from the very beginning, spreading the word to the entrepreneurial group that they have, and I also work with YETI as well. CTI Global stands for Consulting, Training, and Investments. Their main focus is on helping international businesses set up in Canada. So if that's somebody that you know or that's interesting, you just maybe contact them. 3V Communications is my company, and it's a communication coaching skills company, coaching, training, and assessments with the 3Vs. iTristan Media is now iTristan Group, and they specialize in e-commerce solutions. So websites beyond, e-commerce solutions, very specific, very tailored, very boutique. Pamper Me Network started off as a social network of some kind to help people with their social media, and now they're focusing a lot on helping other people get the word out, and they're specializing in AI. I think everyone's talking about AI these days. They might have something for you. And finally, East and West Learning Connections is a nonprofit which started with the Chinese community, and their mission is simply to let people who are coming here new or even have been here a few years integrate better, to have more success in their interviews, in their business skills, and they're hiring professionals to be guest speakers, they're doing tours, they're opening the doors to anyone from any country, any culture who wants to get better understanding the country they live in and how to be successful in business. I really like their mission. So once again, thanks to all of you for helping us put this event on. Next slide, please. Getting close to it. So we're going to start in just a second. We're going to have a fireside chat with NCCA Canada's president, world-renowned body language expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. I just happen to have two of his books here, and my books are signed because who doesn't want a signed book? And I can tell you that you're probably going to get the notice, if you haven't, that we're going to be giving away some prizes for the top 3 people who stay engaged as much as possible throughout the day. Engaged being attending the sessions, entering questions into the chat, giving feedback, whatever you can do to be engaged. The top 3 people at the end of the day will get coaching sessions and or signed books. So we can definitely maybe help you out with this. So without further ado, I'm going to bring over my friend, my colleague, Mr. Mark Bowden, and he's going to join us for the session. Go ahead and take off that PowerPoint. And Mark, if you please, sir.
There we go. I slid in there beautifully.
It's like baseball. Come on in.
Well, Rick, thanks for organising this for a start, and great to be here with you.
Yes.
Great to be here with everybody. Thank you for showing up. It's a great fun and a great privilege to be here with you all.
Thank you. And what we want to do is we want to pick your brain, because we know that you're often busy, you're on videos, you're on YouTube, you're on Dr. Phil, you're sharing advice. And we want to say, what can we learn specifically for business people and maybe specifically for the coaches out there?
Right.
So I'm going to kind of be feeding you questions, and I might have 2 cents to offer here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Please. So the first thing I want to start off is with a business focus. So boardroom meetings.
Yeah.
What advice can we give our audience when they know they're going to have a boardroom meeting? The appointment's in a half an hour. They know someone's coming in. Any advice on how they can set up non-verbally?
Okay, look, here's the thing, Rick. You wouldn't be asking that question unless boardroom meetings had a level of stress in them. I mean, why would we be working with anything here that isn't like a problem?
Right.
Okay, so we've got to know, look, some, but maybe not all, boardroom meetings, some, but not all of the time, are a stress for you, a stress for me, and a stress for everybody watching. So we've got to think about those particular meetings. Now, is it somebody in particular in that meeting that's raising our stress? Is it the group that's raising our stress? Is it maybe, hey, I'm going to present on something I don't usually present on? Could be the subject matter that's raising our stress. Whatever it is, I've got to know before I even go into the meeting, I'm getting triggered. Okay. My stress is going up. And so here's what I'm going to do. You've come across this technique before, maybe people here have. It's in my books, and it's something called the truth plane, which is open palm gestures at navel height. Okay, I saw you doing it when you were here. I know you use that technique.
I do.
I use that technique. Okay, and what that technique does is when you're doing open palm gestures at navel height, it calms you down. It causes you to be calm and assertive. By altering your own body language, you alter the chemicals going around in your body, your breathing rate, your heart rate, and you calm yourself down. Okay. So, but I'm going to do it not only when I'm in the boardroom, I'm going to do it before I even enter into that. I've got to start this technique early. Listen, the night before, as I'm going to sleep, I'm going to be going, okay, I've got that meeting tomorrow. I know that it's going to trigger me with some level of anxiety.
Right.
The moment I wake up, I want to be doing this more than I'm making my coffee, I'm making my toast. I'm trying to do this just that little bit more. I'm meeting people in the corridor, outside the meeting. I'm trying to do open palm gestures at navel height more. So when I walk in, I'm already doing this. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And what I find interesting, and I had to kind of bite my tongue a bit because I wanted to interrupt you and jump in and say this, is that quite often I've been thinking about the truth plane as something that we proactively do to present ourselves better, to engage in a trustful way. But actually what you said blew my mind, because it's like, wait a minute, I can actually get my brain organized and my breathing under control with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you want to be doing it as much as you possibly can before, during, and after anything that raises your stress, your tension, your anxiety. And the thing is just like me and just like everybody there, you know those meetings that raise your anxiety just that little bit more. I mean, we could probably go to your calendar and go, I want you to point to the meeting that you're fine with.
This one.
I want you to point to the meeting where you're going, oh no, I'm going to speak to them, or I'm going to speak on that issue, or there's going to be this amount of people.
Or somebody have an issue with status of some kind.
Absolutely. So these meetings are not a surprise to you. They're not a surprise to me, and they're no surprise to anybody watching right now. And so we don't need to get surprised by them. I don't have to walk on stage and suddenly go, oh my God, there's 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I'm anxious.
Right.
I know how many people are going to be in front of me
Right.
at any one time. Now,
Right.
there may be some surprises.
Right.
I may go, hang on, I expected 6. There's 6,000.
Right.
I mean,
right.
okay, somebody got something wrong
Right.
somewhere. But that's what I'm saying to everybody is, I first of all want you to think that you usually know the meetings that are going to trigger you.
Mm-hmm.
Start your countermeasures way earlier on.
So chance favors the prepared mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good. There may be some people in the audience, and even myself, who are harkening back to the very, very famous TED Talk, which is the Amy Cuddy's body language TED Talk, right?
Yeah.
So in relation, and you have a very famous TED Talk as well, but in relation to Amy Cuddy's TED Talk, where for those of you that may not be familiar, Amy Cuddy talks about how you can do power poses before these kind of stressful events. Could you talk a little bit about that and maybe how you see that, or how you use that, or how it relates to the truth play?
Yeah. So Amy's talk is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing I think from Amy's talk is that she popularized the idea that you can change the way you're thinking and feeling by purposely changing your body. And what, for anybody who hasn't come across it, and if you haven't, go and watch it, but I'll give you the précis, is she puts across power poses that she tested. Now, after it, there was a little bit of science argy-bargy about that. But actually, she came back strong.
Yes.
And it's good science.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
It's good science. Okay. And what she came up with is there's these power poses, which is basically making yourself really big, really big. And by that, your testosterone levels, dopamine levels go up. Okay, and some other neurochemicals go down that tend to kind of show up when you're under a lot of stress and pressure.
Right.
So you can do this before a meeting, and it will cause you to feel more confident. Great, fantastic. The work that I do is, what do you do in the meeting? Because here's my generalization around this. You can't do the board meeting like
no, you really can't.
I mean,
and you can't walk in like this either.
There's no ever do this. There's no bad behavior. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want.
Right.
And though this could make me feel very confident in the meeting, it may lower other people's confidence in me, because it's outside some of the norms for most, but not all board meetings.
Right.
Okay?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So here's what I'd say. Yeah, you want to go to the bathroom beforehand and do this. Yeah, do that. Okay. But when you're in the meeting, open palm gestures at navel height if you want to come across as calm and assertive. And this, as you're talking, maybe we're talking outside before the meeting.
Right.
I want to talk like this
and get into the rhythm of it.
Get into the rhythm of that, so that I'm already feeling that calm assertiveness before I walk in. So Amy's work is great, no doubt, but this you can't do in the moment in every situation that's giving you some stress.
Right. Let's give some more tips to people, because I think there's some people out there that go, you know what, I've got this important meeting or interview or someone with high status, whatever, and I want to just have a couple bullet point notes besides that. I want to throw one out. Be aware of where your feet are pointed. Be aware of where your feet are pointed. Shakira's "My Hips Don't Lie," that song sticks in my head because it's exactly true. Where my feet are pointed is where my hips are pointed, is where my attention is pointed, right? So there are some people, especially on these online meetings, Zoom, they may not realize they're kind of off to the side a bit, but they're trying to give attention like this, right? And does it not feel that I want to leave? Can I just finish this up because I got to go, right? That's the feeling. And so that's one thing I'd like to share with people, whether in person or on Zoom, is make sure your feet are pointed towards the person you want to give the attention to.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and now your turn. Give a tip of any kind.
Yeah, look, let me just follow up on that. What that really is about, because look, I can put my feet in a different, but it's unstabilized me. My center of gravity is still moved towards you, but my feet moved away. I feel unbalanced, and I'm just going to allow that to sit with me for a bit, and you're going to now notice that I'm not able to give you eye contact.
No, it just looks awkward.
I'm literally hanging. And the moment I bend my feet forward with my center of gravity, I'm more stable. And look, you want to be in a meeting where you're feeling stable because you want to give across a sense to everybody there. Look, I'm stable. My idea is stable. Because usually when you're putting across your ideas in a meeting, you're putting across something new.
Mm-hmm.
If it was old news to them, it's like, why present on it?
Yeah,
Why present
exactly.
old news?
Exactly.
It's new news. It's something that we don't know for sure yet. We have to trust you.
Right.
Therefore, we're looking for a stable person. Let me give you another idea, which I saw you doing, which was great in your introduction to this, is that as you were talking, you were using what I call, and what many people in our world call, baton gestures. These are the gestures that conduct along to the rhythm of your speech.
Right.
Okay. And when we're trying to understand what somebody's saying, we not only listen for their phonics to get an idea of what do I believe they're saying, what do I predict they're saying. We lip read as well. Right. Okay. But we also want to look at the whole context. How's their body moving? And so we want to see the rhythm of the speech. Right. If we can see the rhythm of the speech, then our Broca's area, which does language, it's more confident in its prediction. Right. It feels like it understands us better. Okay. So whatever conversation you're in, whether it's online like we're doing right now, or it's one-to-one, you just want to make sure you're putting in just a few more visible baton gestures. You'll feel more confident. And most importantly, actually, they'll feel more confident in you.
This is great. So we've talked so far about the feet, the hips, the center point, hands. I want to talk about neck up.
Yeah, okay.
I want to talk about head up. Some do's and don'ts. There are people, whether online or in person, that don't know what to do or not do with their face. So I would like you to talk about
okay.
There's a few things like that. And then and before you do that, I want to mention something. When I was in university, there was a young lady named Melanie who I'd met, and she had one green eye and one brown eye. It's just, you don't see that very often. And so it was a very interesting feature. And I remember we were chatting, and she told me that when she was talking to somebody, sometimes she would do this, right? So she would do these, I'll just show the camera. She would just kind of chat, and maybe he's a little, like I'm wiping an eyelash away, but she would literally draw attention to one of her eyes. And this was a long time ago before I knew anything about a lot of this body language stuff. And she had innately knew that if you want to draw attention to something, you can almost really point to it without doing this, right? And so based on that, and based on this other no-no, tell us a little bit about what we should be aware of and what we can do with our face.
Yeah, so look, here, let's talk about adapters, okay, and self-soothing gestures. What I didn't see you doing in your introduction was any adapters or any self-soothers. Now, adapters are gestures that we make that are trying to alter the world around us, usually to make us feel better. So I'm just going to do an adapter right now, and it became a self-soother because I did it twice, 3 times, okay? So look, just moving my hair out of my eyes, that's an adapter. I feel better now. If I keep doing this, that's now a self-soother. And what you'll notice is you suddenly become really obsessed with what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, what is he doing? That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Try and make that make sense with what I'm saying, and of course, it doesn't really fit what I'm saying at all. Right. And so now your brain is a little bit overwhelmed with too much to do. It's like, I'm trying to pay attention to what Mark's saying and work it out, but I'm also trying to pay attention to what he's doing and work that out. And I'm doing all of that, and they don't seem to fit. And now you start to get upset. I mean, maybe not consciously, but unconsciously you're upset. Now, what do you do with that upset? You project it on what I'm saying, my subject. So I'm here, I'm giving you the numbers, I'm taking you through the charts, okay? And now you're getting upset with the numbers, okay? And you're going, Mark, are these numbers right? And I'm going, yeah, they're absolutely right. They're, we really took a lot of time with these numbers. And it gets more.
I'm getting agitated.
You're getting agitated.
Yes.
So look, here's what I want you to make sure as well, around your head area. In fact, anywhere. Adapters can happen, anywhere, essentially. Yes, I can do an adapter here and it'll become self-soothing if I do it repeatedly. Is you want to avoid as much as you can those adapters and those turning into self-soothers. And instead, if you're trying to release nervous energy, try and release it in your baton gestures. Or in fact, another thing that I saw you do is something called descriptors, which is ones that kind of draw pictures. You'd help us understand what you're talking about by kind of placing ideas somewhere. So there's a start, because a lot of adapters will often, self-soothers will often happen in the face. And look, here's what I want you to remember is there's no bad behaviors. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. So there are some examples where I might want to do some self-soothers on purpose
Mm.
in order to make you feel not so good
I see.
about something.
I see.
Okay? Because, by the way, Rick, there are all kinds of other events going on right now that people could be tuning into. And sure, they might be interesting and distracting somewhat. But look, stick with our event. Stick with us today, and I think you're going to get really good content to really help you. But sure, I mean, go and take a look at some others if you need to.
This is a perfect segue, Mark. This is a perfect segue. Okay, so for the audience there, we're getting all these tips of what to do and not do, right? And this is a perfect segue to this concept of manipulation.
Yeah.
So I promised in the advertisement for this session that we would talk about persuasion. And some people are good with it, some people not.
Yeah.
Some people akin it to manipulation. So let's talk about persuasion manipulation, and then we'll get into some advice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, so first of all, let's unpack that word, manipulation. Yeah, it comes from Latin, mani, meaning hands. To move with your hands.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We are manipulative beings. Okay. Especially when it comes to language. The Egyptians, their god of language is the god Thoth, a gibbon. The reason they chose this gibbon is this gibbon has hands like ours. It's not able to use its hands in quite the manipulative way that we are. Doesn't really have a brain big enough to do that. But it was the nearest thing to a human being for those ancient Egyptians to go, wow, got these hands and it can make stuff that wasn't there before. Okay. And language is profound at doing that, at making stuff that wasn't there before. Now you can manipulate for benefit, or you can for your benefit, or for somebody else's benefit, or you could manipulate only for your benefit and never for their benefit. In fact, you could lower their resources with your manipulation. You're going to do whatever you're going to do with your manipulation of the world, but you will manipulate. It's a human fact that you will change stuff, of course. So now we want to know, if we're going to manipulate, how do we do it to our advantage and to everybody's advantage? How do we make the world better for everybody? Okay, so listen, let me keep going with this because I want to go to this persuasion piece. Persuasion, Latin for to move hard. Okay, to move somebody from this place to this place. Okay, we'll get there in a second. Let's just start with influence. Influence, medieval Latin, for to be in the river with, to get in the flow with them. Before you can persuade, you must influence, which doesn't mean I've got to make you think differently. It actually means I've got to think like you.
Get in alignment.
I've got to get in alignment. Like, think about, look, anybody who like us lives in Canada, okay, and Canada was founded on getting in canoes, and going down
the waterways, exactly.
And I don't know whether you've ever done it, but if you want to go upstream of the canoe, if you want to go up, like, it's hard work.
It's a workout.
Yeah, you are going to end up probably lifting that thing out, and walking it along.
The old portage,
because that water flow, that power is going to take you one way. So if I want to influence you, if you're not doing what I believe you should do for your betterment, first of all, I've got to get next to you and I've got to see it from your angle. Empathy. So manipulation, first of all, has to have influence, which means I must have empathy for you. I must understand you, which means I'm going to ask you, first thing we're going to do in our communication is ask you a lot of questions. Okay. Now, let's get a body language piece around that. Okay, because there's lots of great questions I could ask you to go, how do you see this? What do you see from your point of view? What's the problems for you? What are you already doing? What would you prefer to be doing? Okay? But you're not going to give me really good answers unless I look empathetic, I look open, I accept your answers with a sense of empathy, okay? Because if I'm there asking you questions, and there's nothing wrong with this body language. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. But if I'm trying to influence you, which is to get into your mindset, to join you, you might not teach me as much about your point of view as I really need to know, unless I'm more open with my body language. Hope that makes sense.
It does, and it harkens back to things like counselors, right, and psychologists. Do they want to be open or closed with their verbals and nonverbals, and will that affect the conversation?
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So it's only at that point of being influential with somebody, which means being empathetic, getting alongside them. I mean, that's what we're trying to do now, is get alongside you. You know, this is a better conversation than if we get into antagonism. Okay. In fact, let's just get this. So this it
feels weird. It feels weird. Yeah, it is.
Here to get on. The moment we go into this very antagonistic situation, I'm suddenly going, what's up, Rick? Like, what's your problem?
I want to get a little bit bigger in my chest here.
Just by being what I would call in compliment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, we've got a little angle to ourselves, but we're both trying to see it the same way.
Right.
Yeah. This already feels better. This is already a more influential situation rather than, let's just go back to this, which is antagonistic and therefore argumentative.
And this is even, guys, this is without the boardroom actually between us. Could you imagine if there's actual boardroom, which will bring me to my next question? The typical setup for, again, meetings, negotiations, even so-called friendly meetings, is sit around the boardroom, have the boardroom in between you. It's an obvious barrier. What can people do themselves to proactively enable themselves to create a much better atmosphere for those conversations?
Okay, let me take you through a really interesting maneuver that I'm going to give you. So what will tend to happen in any kind of meeting situation is we get stuck with the furniture. Okay, and we go, there's a boardroom, and the board table is usually so big and heavy, it's just immovable. In some boardrooms I've been in, you literally couldn't even pick it up. It is bolted into the ground. It's like, this is how we're all always going to meet. And so you and I, friends as we are, end up putting ourselves in a position where we're antagonistic to each other. And also we've now got this barrier, which now you feel and I feel even safer having an argument. Okay, because here, without that, like, we're going to be careful about the argument, because literally we're in striking
as men do, right?
Okay, I'll argue a little bit, but not too much. You put that boardroom table in front of us, it's like you're going to have to jump across the table, to stop me talking.
There's a safety in the barrier.
There's a safety in the barrier, absolutely. And so what that does is it can create more safe argument, and we don't come to a good negotiation quicker. So I want to get into a complementary situation, but here's the thing: if we're antagonistic, and I want to come round into a more complementary situation. Okay, it's going to be weird because I'm going to close proximity on you. Okay, and also I'm going to close proximity on you, and we're going to have eye contact, which means I'm going to get close to you with eye contact, and that will feel aggressive. So here's what I'm going to do: I'm going to take some kind of content, you know, or I'm going to, if I haven't got any, I'm going to start sketching out an idea on a piece of paper. And I'm going to go, hey, Rick, just look at this with me, okay? And I point down here, I bring my eyes down to here, and as I'm doing that, I scooch in, okay? And I maybe even give you the pen, and I go, just tell me how you'd want to alter that, okay? And now we've got closer proximity, okay, which science tells us will escalate our relationship positively. We did it without that strong eye contact. Okay, and also because I distracted you into something else. The other thing is I can sublimate the problem or the issue into that, rather than the issue being here. I can sketch it out there. I can go, well, let's look at the contract. Okay, I can make that's the problem that we together are going to solve from the same side. Okay, so you know, always, that's great. As everybody will know, as you know, I love that non-verbal world. Okay, and I love how if you can manipulate that non-verbal world, okay, you can influence and persuade people faster.
This is great, because I think, again, a lot of people get triggered by that word, or they might have a negative connotation. Now we're teaching you, don't think of it that way. Think of it as a tool, what you can do with it. And these bigger principles of empathy and influence, what I use the word confluence, two rivers coming together, especially for conflict management. And this is very important. So what I want to do now is I want to switch over to the verbal techniques, So I would say to somebody, simply speaking, I'd say, well, look, persuasion is getting somebody to do something you want them to do, and they're happy about it. That's my definition. And what I mean by that is there's no buyer's remorse. They don't come back and feel they've been tricked. And so that sounds great, but what can we give our audience in terms of any verbal cues or techniques or templates to maybe help them be better at persuasion?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to what you were doing
Okay.
the moment you came on camera.
Right.
Okay. And look, it's a stress for you. It's a stress. Like,
Yeah.
it's a stress. And so you need, just like everybody else, simple techniques that you can do anytime,
Right.
that are easy to do and get you a really good result. Because lots of difficult techniques that get you incremental result, you won't be able to do them all at the same time. Here's what I noticed you did. You slowed right down with your speaking and your language, and you started almost breaking up every word. Not everyone, but it's nothing like kind of the speech level that we're having right now, conversational.
Right.
You took it right down. It was almost like every word had a similar value, and you put space around those words. Maybe not to the extent that I'm doing it right now, but I'm trying to describe to you and everybody what you were doing.
I call it chunking. I was chunking.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Chunking up those words. I think that's the first verbal technique you want to start doing for influence and persuasion.
Yeah.
Is just chunking up those words just that little bit more. And listen, that's a really simple technique, but it's hard to do when you're under stress and pressure. So I want everybody to be thinking about that. The moment you go and communicate under more stress, more pressure, start breaking up those words. It gives you time to think.
Right.
It gives you time to really watch your audience.
Right.
How are they responding to this? Okay. And it's simple to do. And here's what often happens when you give people powerful, simple ideas. They go, yeah, but what else? But what else?
Yeah, right.
Like, do that.
Yeah.
Do that, because you can do it, and you can do it for an hour.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And it will make a vast difference. Now, of course, there's other stuff that we can give people.
Yes.
But that feels to me the most basic and powerful thing that you could do. And I want to bring you back to a specific US president, President Obama, who most people, regardless of their politics, will go, you know what? I think that guy was a pretty good speaker.
Indeed.
Okay. Now, to my knowledge, he would often be speaking, even when he was speaking off the cuff, at almost 1 word a second. Okay.
Well trained.
Well trained. Okay. Now, it's extreme, but he would be often giving quite extreme communications that needed to influence and persuade, and manipulate the situation to everybody's advantage.
Right.
And he's going 1 word a second. Okay. Now I want you to put that against Hillary Clinton, not talking about her politics at all, just going, why wouldn't she win in the same way that he might win in certain situations? Okay. Well, there's lots of reasons, but let's do the amount of words per second. She's doing around about 120, even sometimes 180 words a second. It's something like this. Okay. And at this kind of rate of speech, and it's hard for me to do it, but I'll try and carry on doing it. You can start to notice that not every word is as valuable as any other. Now in real life, some words are more valuable, but can you really work out which are the valuable words?
No, and I'm getting stressed.
Right, you're getting stressed. Okay, so you're going to start to think my content is stressed, and I'm stressed, and all it is I'm talking fast. That's all. Now, I'm not saying you can't talk this fast. Okay, there's just results that you wanted or didn't want.
Right.
And I'm going to say that speaking just that little bit slower by breaking up the words just that little bit more, chunking it as you call it, which I think is a lovely term to use, that will get you a better result.
Excellent. This is great. Now, for the audience there, we've got about 5 minutes left. And so you can put questions in the chats and discussions, and even if we don't address them now, because quite frankly, we can't see them, but they will be answered later, because this information will be sent to us, NCCA Canada. And so we absolutely have opportunities to email back and give you answers. So feel free to ask questions. The last question I want to ask is also about this idea of how do we force ourselves, I'm going to maybe use the wrong word here, how do we force ourselves in a business scenario to make ourselves, force ourselves to have empathy, to be calm for a person or situation that we actually feel antagonism towards. Someone, maybe we don't like that person, that boss is a jerk, or this situation, that person's being very aggressive in this particular situation, and yet we're expected to be the bigger person and calm ourselves. I know this is a bit philosophical,
No.
but I think as a communication professional, this comes up a lot from our clients. So how do we deal with when someone on the other side of the table is very stressed or angry, or let's just say not being a polite communicator? What can we do, and why should we do it?
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want you to do, and you can practice this. You can practice this for the rest of the week. Okay. And it's called the yes state. Okay. And all you do, if I'm feeling under stress and under attack, my internal dialogue tends to be like, oh no, oh God, oh there's Rick again. There's Rick again doing that thing that he always does. Oh, Rick's being aggressive. Oh, Rick's being negative. Oh, there he is again. Okay. What I do is I turn it into, yeah, okay, that's good. That's Rick. That's Rick again. Excellent. Great. Okay. I get a vocabulary of positive acceptance, and I do that internally on purpose.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So that when you are doing all that stuff that I really expected you would do, okay, so my radar is into it. It's already started looking for it. Okay. I'm now accepting it. Okay. And I'm going to add one more thing to this, and that's the game of my friend's amazing.
Okay. Okay.
So there you are, being your usual self. I mean, belligerent and negative and whatever over the other side of the table. And I'm in this yes state going, oh, good. Oh, Rick seems angry. Excellent. Good. And then I start adding, my friend's amazing. This is the most amazing anger I've ever seen. This is great. So now my body starts opening up. Okay, now it starts opening up. Now, because it's opening up, okay, you may well give me more of that, but the more you give me, the more amazing it is, the more positive I see. And after a while, potentially you'll just run out of energy for that. If you escalate, you'll run out of energy because you're only doing it at your most comfortable level. Okay. So the key here, Rick, is just a sense of acceptance, okay, and enjoying the other person. Hope that makes sense.
This is really mind over matter.
Yeah.
And it really is programming your brain in I guess in relation to your body language. And is there a bit of NLP in this, neuro-linguistic programming, or borrowed from, or do you see some similarities?
You know, those two techniques came from theater training.
Oh, theater training.
That I had. Yeah, I mean, look, you could equate it with NLP and going, okay, you're doing a reframing here, but I'm doing, so let's call it a reframing. I'm doing a constant reframing. I'm not going in there going, I'm going to reframe Rick as my amazing friend. I'm going to do it just all the time, And everything that he says that is negative, it's like, that's good, that's okay. So it's more consistent than what we might call an NLP kind of reframing, I would say.
This is amazing. And I think also that it almost becomes bully proof, because a bully likes a weaker victim. And when they cannot pick on you, even if they're doing it subconsciously, they may not realize, but they're not going to go keep attacking you because there's nothing there. There's not getting any, whatever it is they want, they're not getting it from you.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I can reframe it right from moment one with you. This is more kind of NLP. Before we go into the meeting, I'm talking to you outside. I'm in the truth plane here, open palm gestures. And I know in my mind, I can often be a bit negative and push my ideas down. Okay. And so I go, hey, Rick, good to see you. I'm really glad you're at the meeting. Listen, I love it when you come in and you kind of, give us all the negative reasons why, an idea won't work, because I think it really helps us see those negative sides and deal with them and get to the right result. So listen, thanks for doing that today.
Nice one. Yeah.
If you were doing it to gain power, you've lost all of that because I asked for it. And now when it happens, and it inevitably will, it's like it happens because I wanted it, not because you're doing it to me. Like, this is great. And afterwards I can go, Rick, thanks so much for that. Can you do that next meeting as well? Because I just think it's so helpful. Hopefully you'll never stop doing it. Which is probable. Probably you'll never stop doing it. Okay. But at least now I feel I have some control. Or actually, you'll go for another power play. Okay. And maybe I'll have to deal with that. Okay. But at least now I'm influencing and persuading.
Very good. And you're protecting your own sanity, reducing
Totally.
your stress, and you're bully-proofing yourself. This is fantastic. Listen, we're out of time. As always, it could never, we can never have enough time, but this has been a very unique conversation. Mark and I did not script this. We had a very, very basic idea just from the description, and we just free flowed here. So this is very unique content, and it's really enjoyable for me, and I've been learning some things as well. Goodbye, Mark. Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great event.
Take care.